I was walking through the park the other day, just uh, looking around,
Hmm.
people reading, drinking coffee, very idyllic scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it triggered this thought, this massive universal paradox that I just cannot wrap my head
A
around.
paradox in the park. That sounds a little
Well,
ominous.
think about it. If I had stopped any one of those people and asked them, hey, do you like peace? What are they going to say?
Of course.
Of course, I love peace. I
Yeah.
want a quiet life. We all claim to want serenity. I mean, that's the default human setting.
It's certainly the socially acceptable default. Nobody's going to look you in the eye and say, actually, I prefer chaos, destruction, and maybe a little bit of violence before lunch.
Exactly. Not if they want to get invited to dinner parties.
Yeah,
But
kidding.
then, and here's the paradox, you look at what we actually do.
Right.
We scream our lungs out at referees during sports matches.
Mm-hmm.
We dive headfirst into these incredibly toxic debates online over things that objectively do not matter. We watch movies where things just blow up.
It's a pretty stark contradiction when you lay it out like that. We say we want peace, but our behavior, it suggests we're absolutely obsessed with conflict. We seek it out.
Obsessed is the right word, and that's exactly what we're unpacking today. We've got a massive stack of research here, evolutionary psychology, neurochemistry, history, and we are going to try to answer a really fundamental question.
Why does the human brain crave conflict?
Why do we love sports? Why argue?
And I think we should set the stage here because the mission isn't just to say people are competitive. That's too easy. It's the surface level answer.
Right.
We're going much deeper. We're looking at this concept of the evolutionary arena.
The evolutionary arena. Sounds like a sci-fi movie.
It does, but it's all biology. We're going to examine the actual hardware in your skull that drives this behavior because the sources we've pulled, they all suggest that what we think of as fun, watching the Super Bowl, playing Call of Duty, it's really just ancient survival software
Oh, I love that framing. Ancient survival software.
running in a modern environment.
So we're trying to run Stone Age programming on a modern iPhone, and it's glitching out.
That is the perfect analogy. And unfortunately, that software has a lot of bugs when you put it in a civilized world.
I can imagine.
So today, we're going to connect the dots between, say, the blood-soaked sands of the Roman Colosseum, that fight-or-flight feeling you get when someone cuts you off in traffic,
Oh, I know that feeling.
and why your entire mood can just crash because a group of people you've never met lost a game with a ball.
Which, when you say it out loud, it sounds completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it feels so real in the moment. A sports loss has ruined my weekend before.
It feels real because, to your brain, it is real. And that's what we really need to deconstruct.
Okay, let's start with the history then.
Yeah.
Because to understand why we are this way, the sources take us way, way back.
Yeah.
Not just last season's playoffs. We're talking Rome.
You have to start with Rome. The source material really highlights this period because it's just the most vivid, the most high-definition example of conflict as entertainment. We tend to think of wars in history as, geopolitical necessities, fighting for land, for borders.
The stuff you learn in high school.
Yeah.
The borders move here. The treaty was signed there.
Very dry.
Very dry. Exactly. But the Romans, they didn't just fight for land. They industrialized violence for leisure. It was their Saturday night movie.
I was reading the notes on this, and the scale of it is just, it's mind-blowing. The Colosseum, obviously, gladiator fights, executions, but the one that really stuck out to me was the Nomachia. Did I say that right?
The mock naval battles. Yeah.
It sounds impossible. They would literally flood the arena, flood it, and bring in actual ships to stage sea battles.
Right.
Where people actually died for the spectacle.
It's an engineering marvel, but a moral horror show. But we have to ask the question, why? Why did people flock to this? The research suggests it wasn't just simple cruelty.
So they weren't just sadists.
Not entirely, no. It was about the narrative. It was about blood, risk, dominance. It was the thrill of seeing a clear winner and a clear loser in a chaotic world. That high-stakes drama. The source actually has a funny comparison here. It says the Roman games were basically the ancient version of a live UFC plus Netflix combo.
That's pretty accurate. It provided two things the human brain craves: adrenaline and emotional release. You're sitting there, your heart's racing, you're screaming, you are participating in the dominance hierarchy without being at risk of getting stabbed yourself.
So it's vicarious. You get the rush of the kill without the risk of death.
Deeply vicarious. And that feeling, it hasn't gone away. The venue has changed, but the viewer hasn't.
Well, society has changed a little bit. We don't flood stadiums and sink ships with people anymore. generally.
Thankfully, yes. We've legislated against the violence, we have ethics committees, but here's where it gets so fascinating. Society changed, but our biology didn't. Evolution is. It's glacial.
So the craving is still there. We're just suppressing it.
We're channeling it. The hardware is identical, so we just found new ways to satisfy it.
Yeah.
And the analysis in our sources calls this the concept of safe wars.
Safe wars. I like that. Sounds like an oxymoron.
It's a mechanism. Think about it. Today we have soccer, American football. We have esports, a massive industry where people watch other people fight digitally.
So a football match is just a gladiator fight with better safety regulations.
In a neurochemical sense, yes, absolutely. Sports are essentially wars with rules. They offer the same adrenaline, the same tribalism, the same us versus them, but with zero swords. It's aggression without murder.
Aggression without murder. That should be the slogan for the next World Cup. Okay, let's unpack the science. Because you mentioned neurochemistry, and I want to get into the nitty-gritty. What is physically happening in my body when I'm watching a close game?
Well, we have to look at the environment we evolved in. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in places where fighting wasn't a hobby, it was survival.
Right, so if you weren't competitive, you didn't make it. The chill, peaceful guys got eaten.
Precisely. Evolution is a brutal filter. It rewarded the brains that took conflict seriously. And the centerpiece of this whole operation is the amygdala.
The amygdala, that's the little almond-shaped thing deep in the brain, right?
Correct. It's your threat detection center. It's responsible for the fight-or-flight response. When a Roman gladiator saw a lion, his amygdala lit up like a Christmas tree. It hijacks the brain, shuts down the logical part.
Which is useful if you're fighting a lion, not so useful if you're arguing about a referee's call.
Very useful for lions. But here's the kicker. That ancient circuit still fires today during completely non-lethal situations.
Like when someone leaves a mean comment on your Instagram.
Exactly. Or when your team is down by one with 30 seconds left, your amygdala perceives a threat to your status, to your tribe, and it dumps a cocktail of chemicals into your system to prepare you for battle.
The brain doesn't distinguish.
It really doesn't distinguish between a social threat and a physical threat very well.
Okay, let's talk about that cocktail. The sources call this the spicy part. What are we marinating in?
It's a powerful mix. So first you have adrenaline. That's the excitement, the power, the shaking hands. It preps you to move.
That explains why you can't sit still during a close game. You're literally physically primed to fight.
Exactly. You're revving the engine in neutral. Then you have dopamine.
The reward chemical.
The pleasure, and crucially the anticipation chemical. Evolution specifically rewarded brains that felt excitement during competition. Winning a fight meant survival, resources, mating advantages.
I won the fight. I am the strong one. Pick me.
It's the winner effect. Winning biologically reinforces itself, so winning feels good. And then the third ingredient is testosterone.
Which we usually just associate with aggression.
It's linked to dominance and confidence. When you combine adrenaline, dopamine, and testosterone, you get this sensation that's incredibly potent. It's a natural high.
That explains why you hear boxers say they feel alive in the ring. And sources even mention soldiers describing combat as terrifying, but also addictive.
War isn't just violence, it's neurochemistry. It's the most intense version of this cocktail. And that addiction is what we're tapping into with these safe wars. We want the sip without the hangover.
But here's what confuses me. I get why the boxer feels it. He's in the ring. I get why the soldier feels it. What about the guy on the couch? Eating nachos. Why does his brain care so much?
That is the magic of the fan's brain. The source material points to studies that show fans' hormones actually change just from watching.
Wait, really? Their hormone levels shift?
Yes. Studies have shown testosterone increases in fans of winning teams and decreases in fans of losing teams. If you're invested, your brain isn't distinguishing between I'm watching a simulation and I'm in a survival conflict. When your team wins, you get that dopamine spike, that testosterone rise. You feel powerful. We won the war.
That explains why people say we. We played great today. I always thought that was funny. You sat there and yelled at the screen, but biologically they feel like they did.
Their body went through the war. And the flip side is true. When your team loses, it's not just disappointment. Your cortisol, the stress hormone spikes.
Oh, cortisol is the nasty one.
It's the stress chemical. It leads to anger, sadness, what the source dramatically calls an existential crisis. That's why a bad loss feels like a physical blow. Your brain thinks you just lost a tribal skirmish.
That is wild. It makes me feel a little better about being grumpy after a loss, honestly.
Wow.
It's not me, it's my cortisol.
It is your ancient software misfiring. You are chemically crashing.
This brings us to another huge piece of this, the group, the US versus them mechanic. Because sports isn't just watching people run, it's my team beating your team.
This is tribalism 101. Humans are group animals. A lone human on the savannah is a snack for a leopard. We are wired for groups, and one of the fastest ways to bond a group is to find a common enemy.
Nothing brings people together like hating the same thing.
Sad but true. This strive is at the root of nationalism, religious conflicts, fan wars. It's the US versus them mechanic. It reduces cognitive load.
Reduces cognitive load. What do you mean by that?
It's just easier to view the world as binary. My side good, your side bad. Nuance takes energy. Tribalism is a mental shortcut.
There was a specific study mentioned in the sources that I found hilarious and terrifying. The shirt colors study.
Ah, yes, the minimal group paradigm experiments. It's a classic because it exposes how flimsy our tribes can be. The researchers took people and divided them based on something completely meaningless.
Like shirt colors.
Like which abstract painting they preferred, or the color of the shirt they were given. Red shirts and blue shirts.
So no history, no ideology, just here's a blue shirt.
Just a blue shirt. And almost immediately, people started favoring their own group and discriminating against the other. They'd give more rewards to their team and punish the others over nothing.
That's unbelievable. We are that easy to hack.
We craved the simplicity of it. Us versus them simplifies a chaotic world into good versus evil. It's psychologically comforting.
Gives you an identity. I am a red shirt, and we are better than the blue shirts.
Exactly. Conflict provides purpose. Hero narratives, but we also have to touch on the dark side of this.
Right, because this explains hooliganism, riots after games.
It goes beyond that. For some brains, power equals pleasure. That dopamine hit from dominance can become dangerous. This drive explains bullies, abusive leaders, war-hungry rulers seeking that validation of strength.
So that same instinct that makes a quarterback want to win is the same one that drives a dictator to invade a country.
It's on the same spectrum. It's the drive for dominance and the chemical reward. Most of us channel it into safe wars, but the root is the same. The difference is just the guardrails we put around it.
It really makes you look at the internet differently, too. We've talked about sports, but what about modern channels? Some of us play Twitter.
The digital arena is the new Coliseum. Since we mostly don't fight to the death, we redirect it. Video games are an obvious one literal war simulations, but online debates are controlled wars, too.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen people go to war over pineapple on pizza. People get vicious.
But notice the language. We attack an argument, we defend a position, we destroy an opponent. It's combat terminology.
And the feeling is the same. You get that adrenaline rush from the notification, the dopamine from the likes. That's the crowd cheering for you.
Precisely. No real blood, but the emotional rush is identical to the ancient instinct. You're tricking your brain into feeling the highs of survival without the risk.
The source material had this witty comparison. It said, Romans watched people fight to the death. Today, we watch 22 grown men chase a ball and cry when they lose. Progress.
It's a valid question. Intellectually, morally, yes, absolutely. We aren't killing people. But biologically. The expert consensus is the brain doesn't really care. Competition is competition. A sword, a ball, a tweet, it's all struggle for status.
So we've built a really elaborate, safe playground to let our inner caveman run around and scream for a bit.
That is the primary function of sports and entertainment in the modern world. It is a release valve. Evolution didn't design us for peace, it designed us for competition.
So we almost need the Super Bowl so we don't start a real war.
In a way, yes. It satisfies the hunger. It lets us experience victory, defeat, loyalty, hatred, all within a contained environment where nobody actually gets hurt.
So let's bring this all home. We've covered a lot, from Rome to the amygdala to the red shirt study. What should the listener actually do with this? We can't just turn off our biology.
No, you can't uninstall the amygdala. But the most valuable takeaway is awareness, metacognition. The next time you feel that surge of road rage or your heart's pounding from a Facebook argument or you're devastated because your team lost, just take a step back.
Recognize the software that's running.
Exactly. Pause and say, okay, this is my amygdala. This is my ancient biology, treating this like a survival situation. It helps you detach from the emotion.
You can just tell yourself, it's the cortisol talking. I'm not actually going to die because the referee made a bad call.
Ideally, yes. It gives you perspective. It lets you enjoy the excitement, the safe war, without getting consumed by it. You can ride the roller coaster without jumping off the tracks.
That's great advice. Enjoy the rush without letting the rush control you.
Correct. Use the adrenaline. Don't let it use you.
Well, this has been a fascinating look into why we are the way we are. We've explored how our love for sports and conflict isn't a flaw, but a feature, a remnant of evolutionary survival instincts, driven by that powerful cocktail of dopamine, adrenaline, and testosterone.
And we learn that sports serve as safe wars, letting us experience tribalism and dominance without the lethal consequences. The game has changed, but the player, the human brain, has remained exactly the same.
Absolutely. Now, before we let you go, I want to leave you with one final thought from our source material. It's a bit of a killer closing question that I think will stick with you.
It's a haunting question, really.
Mull this over. Do humans love sports because they're fun, or because our brains still miss war?
That's the question.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.